There are moments in life that make you wish the ground would just open up and swallow you whole. I had one of those moments recently, and let me tell you, my cheeks still burn just thinking about it. You see, Caius, the self-proclaimed king of chilling out, became the star of my own embarrassing r/I don't work here lady saga. And yeah, I was the lady. It all started on a Tuesday, one of those dreary, drag your feet home from work kind of days. My brain was already in weekend mode, but my body was still slogging through Costco, lured by the siren song of shiny new electronics. I just wanted to browse, maybe pick up some groceries, and then crash. Simple, right? I was deep in the TV aisle, comparing refresh rates I probably didn't need, when this older woman approached me. She had a kind face, a bit wrinkled, and her eyes held that look of mild confusion that often accompanies a trip to a massive store like Costco. "Excuse me," she began, her voice a little reedy. "Do you happen to know if this model has a smart TV function? I'm trying to find something for my grandkids." My internal monologue, already a little frayed from the workday, immediately went, another one. I mean, I wasn't wearing a uniform. I was in my own clothes, just looking at TVs. But she was looking at me expectantly, so I mustered up a curt, "Sorry, ma'am, I don't work here." I even gestured vaguely around, hoping she'd get the hint. She gave me a small, slightly perplexed nod and moved on. Crisis averted, I thought, resuming my highly important TV research. But then about 5 minutes later, there she was again, standing a few feet from me, looking between two different soundbars. "Excuse me again," she said, a hint of desperation in her tone, "but which of these would you say is easier to set up? I'm not very good with all these wires." Now my patience was genuinely starting to wear thin. Didn't she hear me the first time? Was I radiating some kind of Costco employee aura I wasn't aware of? I took a slightly deeper breath, trying to keep my voice even. "Ma'am, I really don't work here. You need to find someone with a red vest or a name tag." I pointed to a genuine employee further down the aisle. She frowned, a little huff escaping her lips, but she shuffled off. "Seriously," I muttered to myself, shaking my head. I felt a tiny prick of guilt for my tone, but mostly I was just annoyed. My unwind time was being invaded by a persistent customer who clearly couldn't take a hint. I mean, come on, how many times do I have to say it? I moved to a different section, figuring a change of scenery would deter her. I spent another 10 minutes pretending to be fascinated by blenders, trying to forget the whole interaction. But just as I was about to make my escape, heading towards the checkout, I saw her again. She was looking right at me, a determined, almost accusatory expression on her face. "Young man," she said, marching right up to me, her voice a little louder this time, "are you sure you don't work here? Because you've been standing in this electronics section for quite a while, and you seem to know a lot." That was it. My last shred of composure evaporated. The sheer audacity, the refusal to believe me. I puffed out my chest a little, gave her what I hoped was my most withering, condescending stare, and let loose. "For the third time, ma'am, I do not work at Costco. I'm just trying to shop. Go find a real employee, someone who actually gets paid to answer your questions." I made an exaggerated, sweeping gesture towards the general direction of the service desk, just to hammer home my point. The poor woman looked utterly taken aback, her face crumpled a little, her eyes wide with what looked like genuine hurt and bewilderment. She didn't say another word. She just slowly turned and walked away, her shoulders a little slumped. A tiny, uncomfortable knot formed in my stomach. Maybe I'd been a bit harsh, but she was being incredibly persistent. I rationalized it away, told myself she deserved it for not listening. I quickly grabbed a few grocery items and headed for the self-checkout, trying to put the whole embarrassing ordeal behind me. At the self-checkout, I started fumbling for my membership card. Couldn't find it anywhere. "Damn it," I muttered, thinking I'd have to use my regular credit card and deal with the hassle. The cashier, a young kid who looked bored out of his mind, leaned over. "Sir, your membership ID is right there," he pointed. My gaze followed his finger, and that's when my world imploded. On my chest, clipped securely to my polo shirt, was my official, laminated, full-color Costco employee ID badge. My blood drained from my face so fast I thought I might faint. The badge, the Costco badge, I'd been so zoned out coming from my actual job I hadn't even thought to take it off. It was a bright red, unmistakable ID. A wave of crushing, all-consuming shame washed over me. The old lady, every single word I'd said, every condescending look, every dramatic gesture, it all replayed in excruciating slow motion in my mind. "I do not work at Costco," I'd practically yelled. Except I totally did. I was a part-time associate covering weekend shifts and apparently a completely oblivious one today. I mumbled something incoherent to the cashier, my face burning so hot I felt like smoke might actually be coming off my ears. I paid, barely remembering to scan my own products with my own badge, and then practically sprinted out of the store, the badge still mocking me from my chest. The drive home was a blur of self-recrimination. Every rude, dismissive thing I'd said echoed in my head. I'd been such an absolute jerk, that poor lady just trying to get some help, and I'd treated her like dirt. I pictured her hurt face and a fresh wave of guilt washed over me. I considered turning back, going to apologize, but the thought of facing her, or anyone, in my current state of profound mortification was too much. So here I am sharing my idiocy with you all. It's a stark, painful reminder to be patient, to assume good intentions, and for crying out loud to pay attention to what you're wearing. You never know when you might be the clueless employee yelling at a customer who's just trying to get some help. I really hope I run into that woman again someday, just so I can offer her a genuine apology. Until then, I'm stuck with this story, this burning shame, and a newfound appreciation for humility. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest, Redditors. And for anyone out there, please don't be a Caius.
If you've made it this far, you've clearly got great taste in internet drama. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more wild stories like these. All right, on to the next one.
You ever have one of those nights where you're just trying to unwind, grab a few drinks with your buddies, and then suddenly you're dodging projectiles in a full-blown bar brawl? Yeah, me neither, until that night. I'm Ethan, and trust me, this story starts with a simple "I don't work here, lady," and ends with an ice jug to the back. It was a perfectly regular Friday, or so I thought. I was headed to my usual spot, the Drunken Dragon, to meet up with my friends. As I weaved through the tables, already half-texting my buddy Mark about being 5 minutes out, I heard it. A sharp, grating voice cutting through the bar chatter. "Excuse me, are you just going to ignore me all night?" I didn't even look up. Figured she was talking to a server, or maybe just complaining to herself. I just kept moving, totally oblivious that I had just walked past my own personal harbinger of chaos. I was practically at my table, about to plop down and forget the week's woes, when a hand, surprisingly strong and tipped with brightly painted nails, latched onto my arm. It was the same woman. She yanked me closer, her face a mask of impatient fury. "I've been waiting ages. Where's my drink? And don't you dare give me that look. I've had a long day." She punctuated her demand by tapping a nail sharply against an empty glass on her table, the sound like a tiny, aggressive drumbeat. Now I'm usually pretty chill, but that grip, that tone, the sheer audacity of it all, my polite filter just melted away. Without thinking, I just blurted out, "I don't work here, lady." And boom, that was it. The fuse was lit. Her eyes, already narrowed, practically caught fire. Before I could even process what was happening, she actually kicked her bag, a chunky, designer-looking thing, right under my feet. I stumbled, nearly went down, and she started screaming at me, her voice now a full-throttle shriek. "You clumsy oaf, you've ruined my purse. You owe me a new one and my drinks for the trouble." I stood there blinking, trying to figure out if I'd accidentally stepped into some bizarro dimension. "Lady, I just told you, I don't work here. I didn't touch your bag." Her tirade had already drawn attention. From the corner of my eye, I saw Mark and Dave, my friends, staring from our table, drinks paused midair. Over by the bar, the manager, Dave, different Dave. Our Dave is a good Dave. And a couple of servers were looking our way, clearly used to her brand of crazy. She was already in an argument with them about her supposedly glacial service, demanding to speak to someone in charge. Suddenly, her eyes landed on me again, standing there, still recovering from the trip, maybe a little too close to my friends who were now trying to stifle laughter. That seemed to flick another switch. The manager was trying to calm her down, but she just completely ignored him. She snarled, "And you, still loitering after you've caused all this trouble." Before anyone could react, she lunged. My back was to her for a split second, and then wham! Something cold and wet slammed into my shoulder blade. I spun around, dripping and disoriented, to see a large, empty ice jug clattering across the floor, and her standing there, chest heaving, a triumphant snarl on her face. She had thrown the damn ice jug at me. Manager Dave, who'd been trying to mediate the argument between her and a bewildered waiter, absolutely saw it. He dropped his pen, his face going from exasperated to stone cold. An older lady at the next table, bless her heart, immediately piped up. He didn't do a thing. She just threw that at him for no reason. Dave marched over, his voice low but firm. "Ma'am, that's it. You are out. You are banned. Get out of my establishment." She scoffed, a truly magnificent display of self-entitlement. "Oh, I'll go, all right, but you haven't seen the last of me. My boyfriends are going to come down here and sort this place out." The manager didn't even flinch. He just held up a hand. "Are you making a physical threat, ma'am? I need you to confirm that for my security cameras." That seemed to deflate some of her bluster. She huffed, snatched her bag, the one I supposedly ruined, off the floor and stomped out, muttering curses all the way. Manager Dave turned to me, a deep sigh escaping him. "Ethan, man, I am so sorry. She's a regular problem." He paused, then offered a sheepish grin. "Your drinks are on the house tonight, all of them." My friends cheered, and suddenly the chilling impact of the ice jug didn't feel so bad. We got free drinks, and I got a story that none of us will ever forget. So yeah, next time you think about saying, "I don't work here, lady," just be prepared. You never know when that simple phrase might just be the opening act to your very own ice jug experience.
All right, Reddit, buckle up, because Kaido here has a story for you that's equal parts absurd, infuriating, and just plain baffling. It's about a company where professional was apparently a suggestion, not a standard, and where I learned that sometimes walking away is the only winning move. I just started a new project as a consultant, tasked with gathering some crucial information from the management team. Things were going smoothly enough. I was feeling good, getting my bearings, the usual professional buzz. But then, as all good chaos tends to, it started innocently enough with a coffee break. I was strolling back to the office, a fresh cup of ambition and caffeine in my hand, when I heard it. "Hey, you, over here." I instinctively ignored it, figuring it was for someone else. I mean, I was new, a fresh face, blending in like a chameleon in a crayon box. But the voice wasn't giving up. It was corporate lady, a woman who seemed to have perpetually just stepped out of a high-pressure meeting, perpetually annoyed. She was dressed in one of those power suits that probably cost more than my first car, radiating an aura of self-importance mixed with acute stress. Before I knew it, she was right up in my personal space, practically vibrating with indignation. "You looking at me, pal?" she snarled, her voice tight with a barely contained fury. "Because I know you heard me. I need you to get your butt to it right now and report my computer issues. It's been lagging all morning." My professional calm threatened to crack. "I'm sorry, ma'am," I started, trying to keep my voice even, "but I think there's been a misunderstanding. I don't actually work here in an employee capacity. I'm a consultant just here for a project." Her face, which had been a healthy shade of red, now seemed to deepen to an alarming burgundy. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't you dare tell me you don't work here. I've seen you around." "Now you get to it, and while you're there, grab me some damn paper clips. My desk is a mess." I swear for a second I thought she was joking. Paper clips, after a computer malfunction tirade. The sheer absurdity of it made a tiny, involuntary chuckle escape my lips. "That was the wrong move." "What's so funny?" she shrieked, totally losing it now. "Are you laughing at me? Just get it done, you incompetent." "Ma'am," I interrupted, trying to cut her off before she went full scorched earth. My tone was firm now, my patience wearing thin. "I do not work for you. I'm a third-party consultant. I can't help with issues or get you office supplies." She just stood there, jaw agape for a second, before letting out a frustrated huff and stomping off, muttering obscenities under her breath. I watched her go, shaking my head, and finally made it to my desk, my coffee now lukewarm. The encounter stuck with me, a bizarre stain on an otherwise professional day. It wasn't just her. It was what she represented. A company culture where some people felt entitled to boss around anyone they vaguely perceived as lower than them, without consequence, without even bothering to confirm an identity. Later that afternoon, I had a meeting with Karen. Yes, of course, her name was Karen, the team lead for my project. As we were going over the agenda, she looked up, did a double take, and her eyes widened. "Oh, Kaito. You're not actually an employee, are you? I keep forgetting." I took a deep breath. "No, Karen, I'm not." And that actually brings me to something I think we should address. I recounted the bizarre incident with corporate lady, emphasizing the aggressive demands and the complete dismissal of my explanation. I think it might be wise to speak with HR, just to clarify my role for the staff, or at least for senior management. This kind of interaction can really sour a consultant relationship, not to mention reflect poorly on the company's internal communication. Karen, bless her heart, just sat there nodding vaguely. She offered no apology, no plan of action, no real acknowledgement of the problem I just highlighted. She just moved on to the next agenda item. It was like I'd complained about the weather. In that moment, I realized she wasn't just a leader. She was part of the problem, implicitly condoning the chaos through her inaction. 3 weeks, that's how long I lasted. 3 weeks of navigating that weird, entitled, almost hostile environment. The corporate lady incident was just the tip of the iceberg, a clear signpost that this wasn't a place for someone like me who valued professionalism and basic respect. My project deliverables were met, my contract fulfilled, and then I was out. I don't know what happened to corporate lady, or if Karen ever got her act together. But I did hear through the grapevine a few months later that the company had a bit of a leadership shakeup, and let's just say Karen wasn't exactly at the top of the survivors list. For me, walking away felt like a victory. I'd kept my cool, done my job, and escaped a truly toxic workplace with my sanity and a pretty wild story intact. Sometimes, the best ending is just your own freedom.
This next video hits the same vibe. Check it out.